You ever wonder what's really going on behind the scenes of major world events? It's usually not just chaos. More often than not, there's a plan, a playbook. And today we're going to declassify 3 of them from totally different worlds to really pull back the curtain on the hidden architecture of influence.
Yeah, it really all comes down to this one question. Is power just about armies and money? Well, we're about to see how it's actually engineered. And not just in some far-off government building, but in the battle for your mind. And yeah, even in the design of that phone you're holding right now.
Okay, so our investigation kicks off with these 2 documents right here. On one side, you've got this covert field manual for psychological warfare. This is from 1984. And on the other, a super formal proposal written for the President of the United States back in 1945. I mean, they look like they're from different planets, right? But as you're about to see, they're speaking the exact same language, and our story really starts right at the dawn of a whole new world order. All right, let's dive into our first playbook. So, picture this. World War II has just ended. The world is pretty much in ashes, and America is trying to figure out its place as this new global superpower. And it's right here, in this moment of chaos, that a totally new kind of playbook is born.
And this is so important. This wasn't just some dry, bureaucratic memo. It was a personal plea from William Donovan, the guy who ran America's spy agency during the war. He looked around and saw this massive, gaping hole in the country's ability to actually understand what was happening in the world. So he proposed something pretty radical, a permanent, centralized intelligence service. Yep, this is the blueprint for what would eventually become the CIA.
Donovan's plan was actually genius, and it rested on 4 key pillars. First, it had to be one single centralized agency. No more confusion with different groups stepping on each other's toes. Second, it needed a super clear mandate. Collect any and all information that could affect national security. Third, and this is critical, it had strict boundaries. It was absolutely forbidden from operating inside the United States. And the fourth, maybe the most important point of all, it would be under direct presidential control. It reported straight to the top, giving the president pure, unfiltered intelligence. This wasn't just a plan for an agency, it was the blueprint for an information superpower.
Okay, let's jump forward about 40 years. That original blueprint for gathering info, well, it's evolved. The whole game has changed. We're leaving the polished offices of Washington, D.C. and heading straight into the jungles of Central America. And get this next playbook isn't about advising presidents. It's about controlling entire populations. And the way this manual defines the battlefield is honestly pretty chilling. It says, flat out, that guerrilla warfare is a political war. The main target isn't the enemy soldier's body, it's their mind. So victory isn't about capturing a hill or a town, it's about winning what it calls the struggle for political mentality.
So, how do you wage war on someone's mind? Well, the manual lays out this really powerful psychological tool. It's all about finding the perfect balance between what it calls implicit and explicit terror. Basically, it's control through the power of suggestion. So the playbook argues that just having armed fighters around creates this constant underlying fear. The people in the towns and villages know that violence could happen, that those guns could be used against them. But here's the key. You never make that terror explicit. You don't want to go too far, because that would lose you popular support. It's pure psychological control, a weapon that's always armed but almost never fired. So to keep that control and stay hidden, the manual details this brilliant structure. It's a system of 3-person cells. Okay, so each person only knows 2 other people in their little group, and only one person, the leader, connects to the next level up. This kind of decentralized network makes the whole organization almost impossible to infiltrate. It allows influence to just spread securely and invisibly, like a ghost in the machine.
All right, now let's jump forward again to a totally different kind of battlefield. We're leaving the world of spies and soldiers behind and diving into high finance and big tech. I know, it sounds completely unrelated, right? But the playbook for grabbing and growing power, you're about to see the core principles are, shockingly, exactly the same.
So our final document is an investment thesis for PayPal. Yeah, PayPal. The objective here isn't to control the population, it's to influence Wall Street and global investors. The battlefield has changed to global finance, but believe me, the strategies for persuasion and control are going to look very, very familiar. And the scale of this new battlefield, it's just mind-blowing. The prize we're talking about isn't a small country. It's a market worth $800 billion. Now, to go after a prize that huge, having a good product isn't enough, not even close. You need a powerful story. You need a playbook designed to convince investors that you are the only one who can win.
And here is the absolute core of the playbook, the big strategic move. The thesis argues that people need to stop thinking of PayPal as just a way to send money. No, it's a comprehensive commercial ecosystem. You see the language shift? It's not about the single transaction anymore. It's about becoming the essential plumbing, the very infrastructure for all of digital commerce. And that story is the weapon. It's designed to capture the minds of investors and send the company's value through the roof.
Okay, so let's pull it all together. We have a blueprint for creating an intelligence agency, a manual for psychological warfare, and an investment thesis for a tech giant. 3 completely different worlds, right? 3 totally different goals. But now, let's connect the dots, because there is a universal code they all share. I mean, just look at the pattern here. The objective changes, right? It goes from shaping national policy to controlling a population to influencing investors. The key tactic evolves too, from centralized information to psychological persuasion to a data-driven narrative. The target audience is different in each case, the president, the people, the markets. But the underlying strategy, it is identical. Every single time, the goal is to build a structured system that shapes perception in order to direct behavior. That is the timeless universal code of the playbook.
And here's the thing. Once you learn to see it, you realize these playbooks are absolutely everywhere. They're in political campaigns, they're in every marketing strategy you see, they're baked into the very design of the social media apps you scroll through every single day. So the final question isn't just about what these old declassified playbooks did in the past, it's about the playbooks being written right now. And more importantly, how are they shaping your world?